I want to talk with you about design thinking documentation tool. My name is Julian Hofer. I'm working at the State Office for Geoinformation and Surveying. I don't know if this name is really in English. So in Germany, it's called Landesbetrieb für Geoinformation und Vermessung. And we are sitting in Hamburg, Germany. Before, I was a research assistant at the University of Hildesheim, and I'm currently a PhD candidate at the University of Hildesheim. So I'm writing my dissertation, and yeah, hopefully finished in November. My research interests are community portals, design thinking, conversational user interfaces, and natural language processing, and also computer-supported research methods. And the really good thing about this is I can do a lot of stuff with Drupal to get my research done. So yeah, a little bit about design thinking, and just to get an overview of the crowd. How many of you have heard about design thinking? Can you just put your hands up? Okay. How many of you have participated in the design thinking process? Okay, nobody. And how many of you have no idea what design thinking is? Okay, then I will give you more hints about what design thinking is, and maybe you will implement it in your company or just go to one design thinking workshop. I would really recommend it. So what is design thinking? Design thinking is something, you can call it a process where you want to solve so-called wicked problems or very complex problems, and you are using basically creative methods, mostly with interdisciplinary teams. Yeah, so you have some people who are very experts in ICT, and sometimes some engineers, or for example, also cleaning people. Yeah, and there are three components that you have to remind in design thinking, and this is the mindset, the environment, and the procedure. And it was firstly developed in Stanford, at the Stanford University. In Germany, there's a so-called D-School from the Hasso-Plattner Institute. And yeah, many companies use design thinking, like Procter & Gamble, Deutsche Bahn, Continental, which is a big tire company. Deutsche Bahn is the railway company from Germany. They also use design thinking. I know that because they invited me for a design thinking workshop. We didn't talk about, if you are living in Germany, you know the Deutsche Bahn is not always on point. At this workshop, we didn't talk about how to get on point. It was a bit about how can we experience the customer journey in the traveling. But yeah, some success example. For example, a very famous example is this Swiffer. So there was the complex problem that Procter & Gamble wanted to get into a new market, and they wanted to invent a new product where you don't have to, if you want to clean your floor, yeah, usually you go with a bucket, put some water in it. I don't know, in Germany we call it wish mop. Put the wish mop in the water and clean the floor. Then you put the wish mop back into the water in the bucket, put the water off the bucket back into your bathroom, and so on. And they wanted to, easier the process. So like, I just want to clean, and I just want to throw this swipe away. Yeah. So that's also the solution. And also, if you know Swiffer, this where you can clean dust. As well, this was also one product coming out of a design thinking workshop. There was the problem: how can we clean dust without using a Hoover or without making noise? Yeah, and then the idea was, okay, we can just use physics to, if you rub here, you get a static electric environment, and that is pulling dust, and so maybe you know Swiffer is to swipe for a dusting, so and so on. Yeah. One point is the design thinking team. As I told you, they should be very interdisciplinary. At our university, this is not always the case, because if you are a student, you want to get your credit points, and if you don't get your credit points, it's a little bit tricky. So our experience was that we don't always had a very interdisciplinary team, but we just get some nice results, and we always used real customers. For example, Continental was a very large customer of us. Also, design thinking rooms are a very important thing that you need. But at the moment, there's some switching, because here you can see, for example, this one is the design thinking room. It's in Hannover at KPMG. We did there some workshops, and design thinking rooms should be at one point very functional. For example, you see this roles here, so you can push the tables away and make another space and so on. And on the other side, it should be very cozy. And there are some also, you would always put higher tables in your design thinking room, because on a psychological level, people are more likely to get to their target if they are standing at the table and not sitting. So there are some psychological elements in it. As I told you, now there's a branch going on because of the Corona pandemic. Can we push these rooms also into the virtual world? And one colleague of mine was researching about that with just virtual rooms and this Galaxy virtual virtual glasses. Yeah, and also the second point is the process. And the design thinking process is like, okay, you have some phases, or so, yeah, you have some phases where you want to go, and the process just they are so-called procedure models. Yeah, they just tell you what to do at what step. So, and this one is one of the famous. It's from a standard D school, from Stanford. There's another one, and we came up, because we are researcher, we just say, hey, maybe there's something we can extend. We came up with another design thinking procedure model, because we say that you have to prepare before you go into a really creative session. So to get your mindset into a really creative session, you have to get your mindset to be creative. That's why we say, okay, there's always a preparing phase. And if you do a design thinking project, you also have to do project management. Yeah, like what is our task, what will we do next, what want we do to the next meeting, and so on. So this is our idea of our procedure model. But there are a lot of more, really a lot of more. Yeah, in design thinking, I've analyzed this, and all of these procedure models are talking about divergent and convergent thinking. Yeah, it's also called a diamond. Yeah, because of this shape. Divergent thinking, what is meaning, you are coming up with very large, or not very large, so with one idea, another idea, another idea, another idea, and so on. Yeah? And you don't think about it. You just say, okay, maybe we can do this like this way, maybe we can do it like this way, maybe we can do it like this way. And convergent thinking is then looking, which idea should we analyze first? So, and this is, in every procedure model, it's the same. So it's basically Divergent and Convergent thinking. One really key factor is to know the problem. So we say that you have to understand the problem of your customer, and you will see later that also in teaching design thinking, this is one of the key factors that the data will say. Observation is key. So for example, who of you had broken his leg or his arm at some point? Who of you were in a hospital? Who of you were lying like this in a bed, in a hospital bed? Okay, see you. So if you think about it, you always look at the top, yeah, because you don't get really around. So and I can tell you, most hospitals in Germany, the top, or also if you look here, the top is not really pretty. Yeah, but if you think about it, if you broke your leg and maybe your arm, yeah, and you can't move around, you are lying there for 3 or 4 days in the hospital, always looking at the top, and that's why observation is key. If you are a design thinker, you would lie on a hospital bed, look at the top and think, okay, it's not pretty, it's not really pretty. So in Stanford, for example, the Stanford Hospital in the emergency department, they've painted the top blue. Not dark blue, it's more lightly blue, but because on a psychological level, this makes the people more calm down. Yeah, and this is why observation is key. Okay, I hope you have a clue about it. Yeah, finding ideas is like really doing just some, always the people saying brainstorming, but brainstorming is not the only creative method. There are a lot of more, but brainstorming is one of the most, I think, famous methods. And yeah, it's like just putting some ideas in the world and then looking about it, what can we do? So focus on an idea. Yeah, for example, there's a method called dot chromacy. So you have here it's an example, you have this idea, and this idea, and you say to your workshop participants, you have three of those dots, and you say just dot which idea we want to explore more. Okay. Another example for a preparation method is what I do with my students is so-called marshmallow challenge. So it's very simple and it's very cheap. You just buy some marshmallows, you just buy some spaghettis, and you say to the teams, build a tower like this with marshmallows and spaghettis. And you have something like 3 minutes or 5 minutes time. The highest tower wins. Yeah, it's all first. It's very very good because the people are talking about this. They are getting connected. They just just getting into a creative mood, and also they have fun. Yeah, and this is what we say just has to be in this procedure model. Okay, so in my work at the university, there are some problems because we are teaching design thinking. We are teaching it with a design thinking coach, but the students are purely beginners. They don't know about creative methods. So they ask, what method can we use? Is there a right method at this step where we are, and so on. And that is why we came up with a method library. So we say, okay, we just want to provide you with creative methods, and you can just check which methods you can use at what phase. So I have to, is this touch or? Just a minute. So you see here, this is our procedure model. And we call this one problem room, solution room, implementation room. Yeah. So in the problem room, it's all about problems. In the solution room, it's all about thinking about the solution. In the implementation room, it's all about just implement a prototype. And you just click on one of these diamond shapes, one of these triangles, and you get here the methods that are mapped to this phase. Yeah, and for example, here you see democracy, and then you can go there. It's now it is in German, but don't worry, we will translate it also to English at some point, and then you can read about it. What's the target? Which participants? What do I need on the tools, and so on. Okay. Where's my presenter? There. So, okay, so this was our solution to this problem. Yeah, just provide a method library so our students can check up or look up which method they can use. No? Then we had another problem, because what is about documentation? So at the university, we give this course, design thinking, and at the end of the course, the students have to present their solution. And then this is my standard question, just ask, how did you get there? So I don't want to know about the solution, I want to know about the process. How did you get there? Which methods do you use? How many methods do you use? How often do you get to the problem space, and so on? And at first point, my students say, I don't know, it's too long ago. We didn't document anything. So, okay, we just thought, okay, maybe next semester we say our students, please document. So at the end of the semester, same question, how did you get there? They say, okay, we have here the documentation, but the documentation was from one point very good to one point very bad. So yeah, there are different teams, and it's not really, it was really not really nice. Okay, so we came up with, okay, maybe we have to give them some template, some structure. Okay, we just give them some Word template with like, just say which method do you use, where's your meeting, and so on. At the end of the semester, the same thing, because in my opinion, it's like, oh, tomorrow we have the presentation. Oh, tomorrow we have to answer Mr. Hofer this question and show him our documentation. Let's write the documentation. So we just came up with, maybe we can implement it or support it with Drupal. And this is why we implemented in Drupal form and so on. So the students can just put it in there at their meeting. And the key feature was this one. So they can, this is generated by the data of these protocols. Yeah, and you can see how often the people are going in the problem room, solution room, implementation room, and so on. And also which methods and so on. And also because as a student, I also know it from my experience, often you are a little bit lazy. And so one feature was to generate a PDF. So hopefully, wait a minute. I can show it to you. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum. So this is generating a PDF and just saying, okay, this is the report from the day, from the meetings, and yeah, what they have done. At the moment the pictures are not working. I don't know why, but don't worry about it. So just to show you, yeah. And this was one key feature for my students, because then they only have to push the button and get the documentation. Yeah. So. All right. So, and as a researcher, I just ask my students in an interview, how did you use this tool? Give me some feedback. So, and there are just some statements. Make documentation much easier, they told me. A real added value that we always knew where we were in the design thinking process, the stops on our procedure model. The method database could be larger. Yeah, now we have 70 methods in this database. Before there were 30 methods, I think so. So this is, actually I can do a check on this one. But we always had to have a laptop or tablet with us, and sometimes this was distracting when someone was busy writing documentation. Yeah, because you want to be in a creative mood, and it's not really nice if you are sitting on your laptop and typing the documentation. So I was coming up with two ideas. So you see, Divergent. One idea was, why can we use something like a conversation user interface, and at this point, Alexa, or a mobile app, which should be more handleable. And first of all, we implemented this app, which is talking to Drupal. So just a little bit to show you. For example, here's something for the protocol. You see, these methods are was used by the team. And yeah, if you go there, you see, okay, it's a problem room, it's Divergent. The execution was closed. Also, for us, it was interesting to know that our student rates the method and so on to get this data. And yeah, so this, and also another feature was just to make a picture of the result of the workshop, and then to get it in the application and then get it back to the Drupal backend. So usually you would see this in this protocol, in this PDF protocol, but as I told you, the pictures are not working. So I don't know why. I have to check it out later. Yeah. So here's the presentation. Okay, I embedded it in the slides, sorry. So the other solution I was thinking about, or the other idea, was to use an Alexa skill, or to create an Alexa skill for this problem. And then we came up with some other problems. So we were all beginners in creating skills. We didn't know how to create a skill. What steps should we do? What information do we need? Where to get those informations, and so on. So, as I'm a researcher, I just looked up for a procedure model, but because I thought maybe there's some procedure model that tells me what to do. Actually, there wasn't one. So what we have done with work of my students is analyzing 120 research paper about conversational user interfaces, Alexa skills, and so on, and yeah, putting out the steps that the recommendations, like best practices, what you will have to do to create a nice Alexa skill or conversational user interface flow. Don't worry, this is, I know you can't see it, so I've yeah, rephrased it a little bit. So the procedure model for intent creation was to analyze the situation, just check your business case. In our case, it was just, okay, how can we support our design thinking team? Identify the requirements. They should get the methods, create a persona. There's a very funny recommendation, because if you create some conversational user interface and create this persona is like you say, okay, I would call it bot. My bot is 23 years old. It's female. It has the name, I don't know, Steffi. At this point for Alexa, you don't have to think about this. But if you want to build a chatbot or something like this, and one funny recommendation is your bot should be female, because people are more likely to talk friendly with female bots than with male bots. Yeah, then create your content and be consistent about your content. So consistency means it should be always good structured, and therefore Drupal is also very nice, because you have your content types, and we created already our content type for the method library, which forced us to be very consistent. Create your intent, create a dialog flow. A dialog flow is like, okay, if you say something to this, then this is the answer, and so on. Yeah, build your prototype and test it. There are some, you can test it with just looking like an experiment, just looking at the shoulder of your test person, or there's another method called Wizard of Oz. So you just do like you are the bot or Alexa, and type in the answers and get the question. And this is a very time-consuming part, yeah, because you will get all the intents or utterances for your skill. So at one point you really have to say, because my students, oh man, there was another phrase and so on, we have to change this. At one point you just have to say, okay, we have to cut it here, and then maintain. And maintain is always looking at the log data. What is the user saying? So for example, the research says you should implement chit chat in your conversational user interface. Chit chat is something like, I told you, so what's your name? How old are you? To the bot, yeah, for example. Yeah. So then we had our procedure model, and we created an Alexa skill with intent, utterances, and slots. This is what you need. And also, if you want a dialogue management, and we just invented this so-called intent template, where we say, okay, just put the name into the year, this description, some slots, and the knowledge base, so synonyms, and rephrase the utterances in imperative, passive, and in a question form. Yeah, because my students were asking me, how can we rephrase this, and so we came up with this idea to create a template. So I will show you now how you can do this in Drupal with an Alexa skill, and the yeah, and which module you can use. And so it's a little bit code session. I have to, because I have to just look if so I realized the network here has some restriction, and let's have a look. So wait a minute. So hopefully this works. I have to change it to my network. So first of all, let me show you. Minute. So, in Alexa, there's a so-called Alexa Developer Console. There's also a CLI tool. I didn't use that. So I have used this Alexa Developer Console. And yeah, you can just create different skills. And wait a minute. So I have here my skill DT2, and you have you create an interaction models with different intents. So you see here name all method. So an intent is like what my user want to have, and also with some slot types. Yes, so it's like for example, I've told you about our procedure model. There are rooms and faces, and these are, for example, some slots in this module or in this approach. So and then you can just use the Alexa module. There's a module because there are two approaches you can use for Alexa skill development. You can use so-called lambda functions in the Alexa UI. You can just write in Node.js or Python and use these lambda functions to get some endpoints, or you can use Drupal and the Alexa module because the Alexa module do a lot of stuff. And it's just creating an Alexa event, and you can just hook up on this event, and yeah, just look up your nodes, and then send it back to Alexa. So I will show you that. Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. You know where I can do this? Here? Appearance, yeah. Where? Maybe editor layout. What is Zen mode? I don't know. No, this is from. Here, light, yeah. So, you're welcome. So, okay, yeah, where I was talking about, so there's an Alexa event, and you can just hook up on it. And so you just subscribe to the event. Yeah, you can see it here. Then you say, okay, on request, I want to get the request and the response getters. And I also already have done here some config form where I put in the default value, because if Alexa is calling my Drupal instance, if there is no intent, it will always go to default, and the default value I just put in a config form. So yeah. To test it, we you have to go to here to test. But before we can test it, we have to do some things, because no, this one there you can put in your Lambda function if you want to, but I was just thinking about how we can get it with Drupal to work, because I teach my students also Drupal, and yeah, there's this restriction. It have to be in SSL, so on HTTPS, and to get this work, I use a tool. It's called ngrok. It's a very nice tool. You can just say ngrok HTTP 881. So this is a port of my local host 881. And if I do this, so it's connecting, and now I have this URL. I copy the link. I put it here. So I save this endpoint. So, and it tells you here on the corner, you have to build your model again. First of all, I didn't read that notification, so I was wondering why that doesn't work. So it's very convenient to build your model again. The Alexa UI is not really UI friendly sometimes, because you just have to check here again to build your model. So yeah, now it's bringing the model. Just wait a little bit. And hopefully it works. So it's going over my hotspot here, so maybe it's a bit okay. We just look up. So you have to, if you want to test it, you can use this test console, and you can put in there what you want to talk. So you have always to start your intent with the intent name, and here it's DT2. So it's just saying open DT2. Okay, wait a minute. Sometimes there's also one thing I have realized. You have to sign out and have to sign in. I don't know why. So maybe now it's working. Let's have a look.
Dieser Entwicklung stellt ein systematisches Vorgehen zur Entwicklung von Innovationen vor, das den kreativen Prozess mit Methoden zweckmäßig unterstützt und durch die Einteilung in Phasen besser plan- und steuerbar gestaltet.
So it's in German, but you can see here. This is coming from my Drupal instance. So this is the text Alexa was talking to us. Yeah, and also I can now say something like this.
Für den Lösungsraum und die
It's asking,
folgende Methoden, 635 Methode, Divergent.
it's asking which methods from the solution room and the phase divergent you know. And Alexa is telling me, okay, I know 635 methods from this phase divergent and also the random input method. Yeah. So the idea behind it is I put an Alexa Echo device in the design thinking room, and my students can ask, hey, which method can we use in the problem room with the phase divergent, for example? Okay. Yeah, there are some tricky things if you work with Alexa skills. And yeah, and so I did that, and then my students say, okay, and I have done the research about it, and the problem with Alexa is sometimes it don't understand you. So I was at the same problem because that's also not so nice if you are in a creative mood and you want to make a creative, yeah, if you just have to rephrase, hey, Alexa, please tell me what method can we use, and so on. So my inspiration, so this is my son, and I also have a dog, but as you can see, obviously, and obviously we have some fun. My inspiration was my son, now is going to be 3 years old, but he has one very nice tool, very nice toy, so-called Tony box. I don't know, you know Tony box? You okay? You don't know? Okay, it's a tool. It's designed, I think, in Germany, also with a design thinking approach. And you put so you connect this box to your Wi-Fi, and you have this Tonys. This one. That's just some small figures, and there is an I think NFC chip in it, and it just downloads music. Yeah. So, for example, for kids, there are toys for. In Germany, it's famous Benjamin Blümchen or Bibi Blocksberg or some kid music and so on. And the kid just put it on this box. You can make it louder or the opposite of it with these ears. You can push on the box to get to the next next song and so on. And this was my inspiration because I was observing my son, and he was interacting with this box, and I was fascinating how easy it was. So I came up with the idea: why don't we use this principle to create a so-called, I call it DT square box because design thinking documentation tool box. And I like the Raspberry Pis. There are some small computers. And so we built our first prototype where we have RFID reader, which reads RFID chips, some buttons, and a speaker. Yeah, so you can map the RFID tags with the rooms or the faces, and then we just tested it. We sold it. We designed some plastic, so a box, this one, yeah, for the 3D printer, and also this so-called phicons that you can put here on it. And yeah, we are wiring this. So for a Raspberry Pi, there's a so-called GPIO, where you can interact with hardware. Yeah, for example, with LEDs, buttons, microphones or buzzer. This one is not a microphone; it's a small buzzer. It makes beep beep beep, and RFID chips and so on, or RFID antenna to get RFID data. Yeah, this phicons you can see here. They all have one tag at the bottom. So this is just, here's a RFID tag. You can buy it at Amazon for very cheap prices. And yeah, and then we put it all together. Actually, my plan was to show it to you in live, but there are some network issues, so I cannot show it to you in live. But luckily, I have a video, so I will do that. So just to give you something like a clue. Wait a minute. So you have a team card. You put it on here. So it just check, okay, which is the team ID. And then it says here, for example, very, very welcome team, and then the name of the teams. So, and we also talked with a design thinking coach, the whole process, because I'm a researcher, and he told us it would be very nice if the box will just remember the team, which is the last method and phase they were on. Yeah, so this is what the box is talking about. And she's also saying your last session was not reflected. At some point in this research process, we realized, because we showed it to other people, and they all thought that they can talk with this box. Before, there was no microphone on there. So yeah, we just did another iteration, and now you can talk with the box, and it's just remembering the team. Okay, you have to do a reflection about your last session. So you talk with this box. This box talks to Google speech to text. So there's an API for it, converts it to text, and then send it to the Drupal instance to get it in the protocol. Yeah. So this box is, if you put some of this phicons here, it just randomly took the method, because it's only okay, this is, for example, this is the problem room divergent phase, and there are, for example, 10 methods in it. So it just randomly yeah, provides you with your method, and this is this button here, red and green. It just say you can skip this method, and if you want to go to another method, and so on. Okay. Same error. Wait a minute. Yeah. So just recap. So I call it DT square satellite system because, as I told you at the beginning, I like that I can do all the stuff with Drupal. Okay, I have to do something else with the Raspberry Pi or something like that. But at the end, I have my content here and can create my protocols and so on in my Drupal instance, and just put some devices which talk to my yeah, Drupal instance. And also you can just scale this, yeah, because the app, I think it's obvious. Alexa is also obvious, and this box is just it talks to the Drupal instance, and it also authenticates like with the MAC address. So you can just scale it so there's no problem about it. Okay, yeah, limitations, or better call it future work. Dialogue management. We realized that with this approach, just using the Alexa module and not Node.js, we didn't come to a solution to use the dialogue management, like saying to Alexa, tell me about this method, and Alexa will say, do you want some similar method or something like that? Yeah. So yeah, internet access. I can't show it to you because of some restrictions. So next time maybe. The procedure model, currently it's only the Hildesheim approach, but we have realized that there are some people, they want to use the Stanford approach or the approach from Göttingen, and we are implementing now some other procedure models because it's actually same, no NFC involved. So I was thinking about, okay, I like this box and I like this very toying approach, but maybe we can do it also with our smartphone. So you have NFC and just put it on your smartphone like this. So that's another idea, and also another idea is to build a smart mirror and just don't use this identification cards and use face recognition for that. Yeah, and the method library is in German, but we are translating it now in English and other languages. Lessons learned. Yeah, always build your model in the Alexa UI. Sometimes you need to log out and in. You've seen that. Define a point where you want to go live. This is for your conversational user interface. Integrate cage approaches. So here's it's the box or the app has some small caching, like it's storing the data in a little database, and it's looking up, is the Drupal instance there? Is the Drupal instance there? And if it's there, then it pushes the data there. Yeah, use normal code. For this one, we have used RedNode. It's a visual programming approach for creating smart home things and so on. But I think it would be better if you just had used normal code like Node.js or something. And Alexa JSON needs to be concatenated. So we had this problem. We are working on this project. My students are very distributed, and they all worked on different intents. And at the end, I had to concatenate the Alexa JSON, so it's one skill. Yeah, because you can't do this in Alexa. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the end of my talk. Thank you to the sponsors, and also a very warm thank you to my wonderful students, which has working on that. Yeah. Any questions? I have this cube.
Hello. Yeah. Sorry. I just want to ask the box. Can you is there like a 3D printing way to get it, or is this like something you have to buy?
No, it's 3D printing. I didn't have the time, but you can just Google for my nickname. I have a GitHub repo, and I will push the 3D. So it's fully open source.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So I will push the GitHub repo, and there is also the 3D print files to get to print this box, and also the phicons. Any other questions? Okay, so who of you are knowing what design thinking is? Okay, a little bit more. Nice. Yeah, so if there are no other questions, thank you. Yeah?
What do your students think about these methods? The small box and all the Alexa and the application. What is the best for them?
Actually, we couldn't test this one, the box, really, because we just came up with the idea before the Corona pandemic, and then was the Corona pandemic, and there was no situation where I can put this box into the design thinking room because everybody was because of the lockdown and so on. So I can't tell you about this. By Alexa, there was the problem, as I told you, like, okay, Alexa don't understand us at some point. The most thing is, I think, at the moment, the app. So, yeah, they're using it. Yeah. Any other question? Okay, then have a nice lunch.
Je peux partir avec.